You have an introduction?
I can do that, Madam Chair. David Frank, our Director of Transit Development, will start off the presentation, and then we'll be turning it over to Peter Brown, our Project Manager.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. This should only take a few hours. Just kidding. We are here today again in partnership with the Minneapolis Downtown Council on one of their 2025 plan and your shared top priorities, which is the redesign and reconstruction of Nicollet Mall. As Peter Brown will tell you in just a moment, we are very close to the end of what has been a very exciting and well thought through selection process. But I just want to pause and flag for you, this is a selection process where you're asking your approval of the team that we are hiring. What you are about to see are some very cool, very interesting images, as we've been saying as far and wide as we can. So I'm saying it not so much for you as for anyone else who happens to be listening. What you're about to see may well not fit within our budget, and there is an exhaustive and inclusive public engagement process which will begin once we have negotiated and signed a contract with this team. That engagement process will include working with community members, design professionals, many of you, as well as our own internal city technical staff and everyone else we can find to make this project as inclusive as possible. I will introduce our fantastic consultant, project manager for this, Peter Brown. There are many people who have been involved with this to whom I should say thank you, but I won't because we should keep going. Here comes Peter, and he'll walk you through this quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Brown.
Good afternoon, Chair Roy, council members.
Let me tell my colleagues, I did ask Mr. Brown to make presentation here that will show some of the images just to get whoever is watching the committee meeting, which, maybe they're eating lunch, but it's an opportunity, though, to start some of the excitement for people who couldn't be at the Guthrie to see the full presentation. Are you ready? Are you all set up?
For the beginning.
Okay.
Yes, I am. Thanks. Chair Roy, council members, good morning, good afternoon. As David said, Peter Brown. I'm a consultant to the city of Minneapolis. I've been working on the Nicollet Mall Redesign Project since March, and it's my privilege today to bring to you the recommendation of the Nicollet Mall Implementation Committee for the design team that we hope to see complete their concept design and complete detailed design for Nicollet Mall going forward starting as soon as the beginning of November, and to ask for your support in that recommendation. I have some slides, but it's been a long morning, so I'll be as brief as I can, and you can tell me if I'm going too fast. The background, the business community, this is a public-private partnership between the business community and the city. We all know that Nicollet Mall is in need of replacement. There are basically two objectives of the project. One is to make Nicollet Mall a much more vibrant public place and a much better place for pedestrians. The other is to do so in a way that is both elegant and cost-effective in the capital short run as well as in the long-term operations and maintenance, total cost of ownership. Our budget is the same budget we showed you the last time we was here. We're projecting to spend $30 to $40 million on the reconstruction project itself between now and the end of 2016, or summer of 2016, I should say. Concept design, the phase we're in right now, which included the selection process up through community engagement and concept design, which will come to an end around about next May 2014, is going to be about $1 million. That's money that's in 2013 Public Works budget, as well as we may see some supporting funds from the Downtown Council as well. Schedule remains the same one we showed you in April and in June. We've completed our consultant selection process. We begin concept design and public engagement in November. We complete that in May. We are optimistic that the state will approve bonding for the project in its spring session in 2014, and we would roll straight into detailed design, which would take about a year, start construction in 2015 and complete it by the end of the summer 2016. We're at the red line right now. This is the same slide we showed you before. We're recommending our consulting team after an RFQ, RFP process, a design competition process, and review of proposals. And our next steps are public engagement and design. We expanded the Nicollet Mall Implementation Committee and added 4 additional panel members to serve as a consultant selection panel. That included 3 design experts we brought in from out of town to sort of mix things up a little bit, as well as State Representative Raymond Dean, who's the author and just happens to be an architect as well. They were great collaborators and partners, and very helpful in our discussions. And I should say we had last week, everybody's still getting over it, we had about a 2-day-long event beginning with our visitors flying in from out of town. We took them on a walk up and down Nicollet Mall, had a little reception afterwards, and then from 8 in the morning until about 9 o'clock on Tuesday, kickoff meeting, hour-and-a-half long interviews with the 3 teams, public presentations at the Guthrie reception afterwards. So, and then the next day on Wednesday, the 18th, the decision was made. So it's been an exhaustive, but we feel very productive and fruitful and positive process. Everybody's very, very excited with the outcome. There were 3 finalists: Ella Stage from Montreal, James Corner Field Operations from New York, and Tom Leader Studio from Berkeley in partnership with Melk. The recommended team, the team we're recommending to contract with is James Corner Field Operations. That is the firm that designed the High Line and has done a number of other very interesting landscape urbanism, urban reclamation kind of projects. They're very sensitive to ecology, reuse of old infrastructure, creation of new infrastructure. They're doing a big, long waterfront road in Seattle right now, and people felt they were very qualified for this project. They're also 2 of their team members have Minnesota roots. One was born and raised here. The other has family here, and they're both excited about being able to work on a project that they feel connected to. And the team also has roots in that Shane Cohn's firm, Cohn and Partners, landscape architect, and Julie Snow Architects, both in Minneapolis, as well as SRF and Kestrel Design, are all team members. Cohn and Partners and Julie Snow, nationally known, nationally award-winning design firm. So it's a very good, interesting team that brings an internationally known kind of design style with a very locally constructed kind of bunch of team members who can hit the ground running. At the end, we were looking at design style, work that people have completed, their understanding of the larger context, fundraising, politics, the complexities of doing these kinds of projects. The team members and the key people on the team we'd be working with day to day, their ability to help sell the project in the community, and their motivations, what they're interested in, why they're interested in this project. The reasons, all 3 teams, and we've said this and it's a fact, all 3 of these teams were fantastic teams, and it was a hard choice, but James Corner's team came to the top, and there was strong consensus on the part of the committee to choose their team. They had a great, confident, self-assured, integrated team. Their key people were important in the presentation, and they gave us all confidence. I should add that David Frank and I went and visited all 3 of the firms in the weeks previous to this and got to know them even more, and we had a very good feeling about these people and how we would work with them. Internationally renowned but strong local connections, knowledgeable local team members. We felt that this team responded as well as any, better than the others, to the design brief in terms of how they looked at the design challenge and the way they kind of came up with creative ideas that reflected what's unique about Minneapolis. They had an idea that everybody really liked, which was a framework based on live, work, and play zones. So they looked at Nicollet Mall and said, it's not all 12 blocks are the same. There's places where people live, there's places where people work, there's places where people go out at night, and some of those places overlap a little bit, but their whole idea was that the design might kind of change the way they do their trees, or the way the shape of the road takes its course would have to do with those different areas, so that you could set up a different sort of feel. They displayed a lot of knowledge and some interesting ideas about paving patterns and materials and new and evolving materials, as well as approaches and strategies for tree planting, which we know is important. Understanding of capital and operating costs, as well as...
You can slow down now.
Pardon me?
You can slow down now.
I'm just trying to, okay.
You're doing, I appreciate it, but I feel a little, I didn't mean for it to be an athletic event this morning.
I usually talk fast anyhow, but today I'm really trying to
I appreciate it, but
deliver.
you can.
We felt they had a good understanding. The High Line is a very complicated project in New York City that has a lot of programming, a lot of operations and maintenance, a lot of partners, and we thought they were going to bring some intelligence and experience to us with how to think about operating and maintaining and programming at Nicollet Mall. They had great, and I'll repeat some of this stuff in a few minutes when I show you some images. They had approaches that everybody liked to, using lighting as a way to create continuity along the street, enhancing connections to skyways, the use of bicycles, all-season use transit, mixing transit modes, which is a complicated thing on Nicollet Mall. We talk about it being like putting 4 pounds of stuff into a 3-pound bag between cycling and trains and buses and cars and people. and sidewalk cafes. And they, when David and I saw them in New York, they made a presentation to us just on how they go about doing community engagement that was very impressive, and they use a variety of strategies, and we thought that was going to be very useful here, and that they, right out of the box, they would have an idea of how to do that. So I'm just going to show you some images. This is the team. You'll see this picture again, but this is they have this idea of tree glades that follow the street, and we did not give all these teams all the information that exists about subsurface conditions and utilities and vaults and all those kinds of things, but they would be looking for opportunities to carve out areas where they could have sort of formal trees on one side of the street and glades of trees like this on the other. This is a diagram of that idea that I was mentioning about different sort of zones, live, work, and play, and how they might do different things with their street design in those different zones. This is just a diagram that they did sort of, we asked each of the teams to give us an idea of what they would do to enhance connections kind of at 50,000 feet up from the river to the lakes, as the mayor says, and at the same time to focus down on a block or two and give us an idea what urban design would look like. And they did 3 vignettes like this. I'm not going to show them all to you for how they would arrange things on the street in those different zones. This is the skyway in front of the IDS Center. They talk about putting a frame up on it so that you can see it a little bit better, maybe even having a balconies off skyways, interesting ideas like that. Some more technical drawings showing how they might try and find areas to plant trees. We know that anybody can plant a tree in the city, making it live for a long time and grow and be healthy is a whole other thing. So they paid attention to that. Also, in the center of the street there, you see they actually are proposing, and they used a transportation consultant to do this, a dedicated cycle facility down the center that would still allow room for buses and trolley in the street. They spent a lot of time thinking about and showing us how they thought about paving patterns and different kinds of paving patterns. There's a material they've looked at. We saw a sample of it in New York. It's an epoxy resin bonded gravel, basically, and it's very porous looking, and it looks like gravel except it doesn't move. It drains very well, and it's walkable, and so there's a number of different ideas they have about concrete pavers versus the use of granite. Turns out granite's actually really durable, not a bad thing to have in a winter city in terms of snowplow blades and things like that. Even more detail on how to do that. Pardon me?
I said, yeah.
Oh, yuck.
No, it wasn't yuck. It's a yeah. I'll believe that with a lot more reassurance after.
And we'll need reassurance on all these things, of course. Yes. Since
one of the primary failures is our granite pavers.
Right. Well,
I get it.
We'll prove
pavers,
everything.
Different subs.
Yeah, this is just the beginning of them starting to look at what they call the build-up. That's the layers of stuff that create a street, starting at the bottom and going to the top. Different kinds of systems and materials. This gives you an idea of species and the difference between kind of rows of the rows of trees on one side and creating these little glades on the other side of the street. And the tree glades, this is their favorite image. They like the idea of creating these just little kind of nice places you can walk through and amongst the trees, and the branches would be clipped enough so that you can actually walk under them, but it's kind of informal, feeling a little bit more like nature. They've talked about using color in terms of both branding, creating perhaps a chair that would be a Nicollet chair, that would be a loose chair that you might have up and down the mall that's in a certain color. The color might be used to brand connections to the Skyway or to help kind of use as wayfinding to get people to Skyways for signage programs, all those kinds of things. They had an idea, we had a design principle about, how would we and how could we enhance connections to Skyways, knowing that it's not necessarily an inexpensive thing to do at the same time. Here they're showing kind of a crystal stair outside of the Crystal Court. And a lighting feature, these tall lighting masts that would run from one end of Nicollet Mall to the other down the center with lighting at the top to kind of show the way, and then at different levels you can see there's little, you can see in the diagram on the left there's little, there's pedestrian lighting as well as higher level street lighting. They spent a lot of time talking about the clutter we have. One of our biggest problems in Nicollet Mall is the street's narrow, the right-of-way is narrow, and everything is big. The planters are big, the bases of the streetlights are big, and none of it's kind of put in a place that makes much sense. So they'd like to spend a lot of time looking at how to do that a little bit more better, with more organization, with more attention to scale. And to make it a more walkable place, of course, creating public places, a little theater in the round, and how places like that might work in the wintertime. This is the one that I think has a fire pit in it, perhaps. And then a little summary of different images of what Nicollet Mall might look like in the future. So that's our recommendation to you. We'd like to ask you to authorize the city team to enter into negotiations with James Corner Field Office and his team to begin concept design, and with the idea that we would get started immediately and have a design done, have a community engagement begin in November, and a design complete by end of spring next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Are there any questions? No. Thank you very much. I'll move approval. I think it was an excellent process so far, and we should remember this is not the first time. I think this is the third time we've used this kind of a design process for something major, and it seems that Mr. Lilligren Councilmember Lilligren has a comment.
Thanks, Madam Chair, and just a brief comment. And as a member of the Nicollet Mall Implementation Committee that acted as a selection committee, I really wanted to thank everyone that was involved. It was an army of people that really facilitated this decision-making process, but especially three of the folks that are here today, and that's Mr. Brown, Ben Hecker from Public Works, and David Frank from CPAD, and they were definitely the leads in the team. As a decision-making body, there were 13 members of this body, and I felt that we were very, very well prepared and very well informed every step of the way. So just thanks for all that. And I really liked the emphasis, as has been said here, we're choosing a team, and so there was an emphasis on ideas and then an emphasis on relationship as well, and realizing that we're going to be working very closely with the selected firm, and I think that we've got a great firm in the James Corner Field operations. The comments about their community engagement were already made. The examples that we saw were very impressive, and I think are going to overlay very well in this community, where with the selection community there was a strong understanding that we have a higher expectation of community engagement than most cities do, most parts of the country do. I really liked that emphasis on the Skyway that the James Corner group brought, and there were big ideas sort of shown in their proposal, but really the idea, it's consistent with, I think, what the business community is doing, what I know the Convention and Visitors Association is doing, is try to make those more visitor friendly and sort of demystify them. And so there are ideas of color coding and things that I think will be very, very useful. Also, the emphasis on placemaking, and one of the things the James Corner team referenced was creating places along the mall where you'd say, meet me at the theater in the round, or meet me at the fire pit, sort of the way you might say, meet me at PV Plaza or something like that. And I thought that idea of having additional places, it's not just the mall, but there are places along the mall that are opportunities to create places. And I really want to thank the fact that thank the outside experts that we had. There was William Butler from Pele Architects, Mia Lair, who is a landscape architect from Los Angeles, Chris Hume, who is an architectural critic for the Toronto Star, and the committee very much felt we needed outside guidance and expertise, and I think those were just excellent, excellent people. They spoke to us very frankly. They warned us about potential pitfalls in our choices and about advantages as well, and I think Stephen Bosacker, who chaired this effort, said they added to our designer IQ exponentially just by walking into the room. And so it was a great process. Now the work really starts, and I look forward to being part of that and supporting that going forward as well. Thanks.
Thank you, and thank you for the work you've done on the committee so far. Seeing no further questions, and there is no further business to come before the committee. Did I call for the vote?
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry. I'm a little tired. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That carries. Now we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.